Forget Gateshead in the rain. Forget Rangers in the Alan McGregor Cup. Forget tours of the United States. Forget Fiorentina. Forget Villarreal. Forget the Cellar Cup. It's showtime, Newcastle fans. Aston Villa at home. Football is back. Eddie Howe's mags are back. The Premier League is back. The real fucking business is back. It's the Aston Villa match preview. So do us a favour, Newcastle fans, for the first time this season, because it's the serious stuff, and stick around. Welcome back to the Black and White Banter, you absolutely beautiful Newcastle fans. I hope all watching this video are well. I hope my subscribers, you're even better because you're a subscriber. So, of course, you're going to be, because you're getting this voice and this face on the regular. No, I'm not even convincing myself of that one. But regardless of who you are and whether you're a subscriber or not, do us a favour right now. Whack that like button. I'm just going to get all the formalities over with nice and early. And if you like my opinion by the end of this, whack that subscribe as well. There will be a match vlog coming. I'm sitting in the fancy seats, the fancier seats tomorrow, so that'll be a quite interesting one. I'm going to miss where I'm sitting, but I am in the more prawn sandwich-based area. So I hope the rosemary sauce is to my liking, with my pinky out as I sip a pint. I am going to be in the slightly nicer seats where hopefully I get a nice view of the flags. But you'll see more of that on the match vlog, so whack the subscribe to make sure you don't miss that video. So it's here. It is here. What feels like forever ago, watching Anthony Gordon score his first Newcastle goal down at Chelsea, singing the Gordon chant, rolling down the wing. Gordon makes the Geordie sing. Gordon, we're all going to Madrid. On repeat, as we sailed up and down the Thames, that feels like an absolute lifetime ago. Like, I feel like there's definitely some grey hairs developed in here since we last kicked a competitive football. But it's back. Eddie Howe's mags are back. The excitement's back. The flag displays are back. The teaser displays, flag displays for more flags are back. It looks like it's going to be a big one. 5:30 kickoffs are back. Sky Sports taking every single Newcastle match because Eddie Howe's mags are huge now. Is back. It's all back. The buzz. The pints. The early wake-up, dancing in the shower, local hero playing. Bring it on. So yeah, we are finally back in action after what has been an absolutely wonderful pre-season in my opinion. And I say wonderful for so many reasons. And I'm not going to touch on too many of them. I've just done a video about the 5 things I learnt from pre-season a little bit further down if you want to watch that. The main one being that we have a pretty healthy squad. And that's going to make this video very, very difficult for a lot of reasons. But let's talk about the opposition first. We've got Aston Villa tomorrow. 5:30 kick-off, and it's not an easy game. It's not an easy game by any means at all. And this is a team that are massively on the up. They've had very similar to Newcastle. There's a lot of similarities here between Aston Villa and Newcastle United with regards to the turnaround in fortunes. Mediocre manager. Ours was very mediocre, as Aston Villa fans will testify to. We have the Steve Bruce rant in common. I think they started the cabbages. I think they were the ones who threw the cabbages at Steve Bruce. But they went through an awful patch under Stevie Gerrard. They probably expected better things. They looked in turmoil. Unai Emery came in, like Eddie Howe did mid-season. And he didn't take over Villa in the same position Eddie Howe had to, with no wins and bottom of the league. But it was pretty diabolical, and look what he did. Unai Emery, I think, is a fantastic manager, and he's managed to really galvanise them and get European football. Wonderful stuff. And they haven't recruited loads this summer. They haven't. They've brought in Diaby. Oh, God, wouldn't it be amazing if he scored on Saturday? Can you imagine the absolute fucking Twitter meltdown from Newcastle fans saying, see, told you so, for a player that we never wanted? If Eddie Howe wanted Diaby for the last year, he would currently be playing for Newcastle. I think Aston Villa have got him for 55 million euros. That translates to about, 46 million, 45 million, 47 million? We would have had him by now. Why people still talk about the likes of Paqueta now that he's linked with Man City, Diaby, Szoboszlai, however you pronounce it, going to Liverpool. We don't even know whether these were ever on the radar, and I can just see what it would look like if Diaby scored. So they brought him in, and he's obviously a quality player. I'm not denying that, despite the fact I don't think we were ever in for him. I don't know much about the German Bundesliga. I don't watch much of Bayer Leverkusen, who he came from, but a good signing on paper. They've brought in a defender, Torres, from Villarreal for 33 million euros. But apart from that, they haven't really... Tielemans from Leicester, sorry, I stand corrected, on a free transfer. Apart from that, they haven't maybe spent as much as I thought they would, but they had a good core of players. And going into this game, it's the first game of the season. There's no form on the first game of the season. We know that. But what I spent some time watching before I made this video, just to jog my memory, is what happened at Villa Park in April. I was down there that day. We did get our arses handed to us. We really did. It was an off day from us. We never got any passes strung together. Sean Longstaff wasn't playing, and I think that was one of the first games he'd missed, and he really showed how important he was for us. But we never really got going. But what was the most worrying thing about that day was the concerns I have about our defence centre-back partnership in terms of pace was caught out a little bit. Ollie Watkins absolutely ran our two centre-backs ragged. He scored 2, he hit the post. Nick Pope made about 3 saves for him with his legs. And they were the much better team. And you could probably argue that was our worst performance of the whole season last season, because there wasn't many. We didn't lose many matches. But Aston Villa was the standout bad performance, and that was because they were so good as well. So we are playing against a very dangerous side who will have the same spring in the step that we will. Haven't lost anyone in the summer of note. Good pre-season. Aston Villa are also unbeaten. Not only did they draw with us, they went on to beat Lazio. They went on to beat Valencia in their most recent match. They've had a very good pre-season. And again, I've done a bit of homework into that as well. For you guys, these videos, I'm starting to do more homework. They have. They really have. So they're buoyed by that. I've been saying how good our pre-season is. Aston Villa's has been almost as good, if not maybe better. I think Aston Villa have actually won more matches than us in pre-season. So they've got no reason to fear us coming to St James's Park. They know what to expect at St James's because they got absolutely battered last season. I think Unai Emery was in the stands for that game. He hadn't taken over, but we really put them to the sword. But that was a different Aston Villa team. I'm not gonna go pie in the sky in my brain as a way of being biased. They were a different side, and it's not going to be easy. Now, what is a significant factor in this game, and I think for Villa it's huge, Buendia, who terrorised us in America, scoring twice and looking really good, he's got an injury that's definitely going to rule him out of this match, and he's been so good for them in pre-season. In their most recent pre-season friendly against Valencia, he actually scored the winner, and he's been amongst the goals, he's been amongst the creativity, and the Aston Villa fans have been excited about him getting amongst it at the start. So he's a huge loss for them. John McGinn, it looks like he's back to the form that maybe John McGinn's been in the past. So he's certainly a danger for us in that midfield area. Likes to create things, likes to get a shot off at every opportunity. But I don't like to spend these videos, as I did last season, talking too much about who we should fear. I've talked about Ollie Watkins. He's the big one for me. Diaby, if Diaby plays on the right, supported by Matty Cash, that is a lot of threat on that right-hand side. And my biggest concern isn't Watkins going into the first match of the season. It actually isn't. My biggest concern is if Eddie Howe decides to go with Dan Burn, having Cash and Diaby against someone lacking in that, on that mobile side like Dan Burn is. I know he can make up with his body size. That's what I'm a little bit worried about. That's the main threat for me. So it's very important that Eddie Howe gets his left midfielder right in this, or he at least sets up a system where support is a focus for Dan Burn on that side, and maybe whatever left midfielder is supporting Dan Burn, maybe a 3. Maybe if Joe Linton plays more centrally, he moves over a little bit. I don't know, but we are buoyed. We have got quality in every area. Harvey Barnes, I am so excited to see him play on Saturday. I really am. He knows the Premier League. He scored 2 on his debut at St James's, and you just know he's the sort of player who's just going to be up for it. He's not going to be nervous like Tonali, who hasn't kicked a football in the Premier League before. Barnes is just going to be up for it. He knows the league. He knows where the goal is. Give us the ball here and let us fucking show you. Let me show you guys what I can do in competitive football. So he's one I'm really excited to look out for. Now, this is the hard part of this video. Who is my team? I've been saying all week Eddie Howe has got the most amazing problems that I've never known in my Newcastle supporting life in terms of who he plays and even what the bench might look like. So I'm just going to rattle off my team after giving it a fucking hell of a lot of thought. And I'm going to assume after what Eddie Howe said in his press conference today that Fabian Schär is fit. Said he's trained all week. Howe's not going to want to play Lascelles in a game like this. He loves his centre-back partnership. We all do. So I am going to assume that he is fit. So I'm going to go Nick Pope in goal. Of course. Save his houses. Trippier captain. Right back. Of course. Botman Schär. Of course. Left back, I'm going to go with Dan Burn. And that's a controversial one. You could argue, based off what I've just said about Diaby and Cash playing on that right-hand side. Oh, Matt Targett would maybe be a little bit more suited to dealing with that threat that they might carry. But Dan Burn contributed to one of the best defences in the league last season. Let's start him. Let's see how he gets on. Let's reassess if he has a suspect match and gets caught out in certain aspects of his game. So I'm going to go Dan Burn. Now, this is where the hard stuff starts. Of course, I'm going to start Bruno in my first three. Of course I am. Of course, I'm going to start Joe Linton. He's undroppable for me, Joe Linton. He's a powerhouse. Third midfielder of the three, I'm going to go for, and this might cause a bit of controversy depending how fit he is, I'm going to go for Sean Longstaff. And that might surprise a lot of people. We all have short memories as football fans. Sean Longstaff was absolutely integral in us getting Champions League football last year. Look at the results when Sean Longstaff came out the team. And the reason I'm not putting Tonali in that first three, as I've talked about in previous videos, is I do not believe Tonali has shown enough in pre-season to prove to me that he's bedded in. And we all know Eddie Howe likes to slowly integrate new players, as he will with Livramento, who might not ever be a starter anyway, with Trippier number one at right back at the moment, but he likes to bed players in. So I think Longstaff can come in and just do exactly what he did last year. Him, Bruno and Joey know each other like inside out. So then we get into our front three. Isak down the middle. Link-up play, pace, skill. Offers that little bit more than just scoring goals like I feel Callum Wilson does. He starts for me. Right-hand side. This is me. This is not who I think Eddie Howe's going to pick. Right-hand side for me, I would go Jacob Murphy. And the only reason I'm going to say Jacob Murphy is because I believe Emery for Aston Villa will play a makeshift left-back in Torres, who they've just signed from Villarreal, who's more of a centre-back. I think they might play him there tomorrow. It's where he's played a couple of games in pre-season so far. And I think Murphy can get at a man like that and really... I love Murphy's directness. I've put him down as my surprise package of the season. Let's see whether he can continue where he left off. Well, truth be told, Newcastle fans, Murphy was in better form at the end of last season than Almiron. Murphy hasn't had as much game time in pre-season as Almiron. I know Miggy scored a few goals, but that's who I'm going to go for on the right-hand side. I don't think he'll play, though. Left-hand side, Barnes. It's a difficult one because Gordon literally looks like Santa Claus on a roller coaster after a line of an illegal narcotic. He looks absolutely full of beans, he really does. And I do think he's going to really offer us something this season and feel like a new signing. But Barnes knows where the goal is, and I think Gordon is still a bit more raw. Let's get some goals on the board. That's what we lacked a little bit last season, and Barnes has not come in to be a substitute. Howe is desperate to add goals to his team, and I think Howe probably's wanted more than one attacking midfielder. I don't think he's going to get one this window. So it's Barnes, Isak and Murphy as a front three. But just look, if that was the team, and I don't think it will be, that's my team, look what bench that leaves. Almiron, Gordon, Wilson, Tonali, Livramento if he's fit enough. Willock when he comes back from injury, obviously not for this match. We've suddenly got these riches. And just based off who I think Eddie Howe will play, I think Howe will go Almiron. He's trusted Almiron for his work rate, for his link up, for his goals that it looks like. Hopefully he can add. I don't want, I sound like an Almiron hater, I don't want him to do badly for my football team. I want him to smash it. I just don't know whether that purple patch last season was a purple patch, and I will always have a bit of an issue with a right-hand-sided midfielder being as one-footed as what Almiron is. It nags me, but I want him to do well, and of course I like him. Of course I do. He's the most smiley little teddy bear that you'll ever find in a footballer. So I think you'll go with him. I do think he'll go Barnes. And I think he'll go Isak as well. I think Isak is Howe's number one. But look what Callum Wilson can do coming off the bench. I don't worry about Callum Wilson being unhappy. Callum Wilson looks like the sort of player to me who is massively motivated by coming off the bench to prove a point. And he did it time and time and time again. And them hamstrings that we do not want to pop because we're so short in that area can only benefit by him being the main substitute. And we can rotate that across cup matches. There's so many things we can do. Move Isak over to the left. So that's my team. What do I think the result's going to be? Of course I'm going to go for a Newcastle win. Why the fuck would I not? This is Eddie Howe's Newcastle United, who matched Man City's defensive record, who won the league comfortably and won the treble. We got to a cup final. I think the core of the team that got us there last season is not going to be budged by new signings overnight. Longstaff is loved by Howe. Joe Linton is. Bruno is. Let's keep that foundations that did us no wrong at all, no matter where people's visions might be clouded by our form at the end of last season on the transfer window. Let's not change too much. Let's do exactly what we love to do. High fucking press up Aston Villa's arses. Get the crowd on side straight away after the flag display in the first 10 minutes. Really go out fresh, fully fit. Let's set the precedent tomorrow. I don't expect fitness levels to be optimum, but let's set the precedent that we are going to shut up Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher and The Athletic and all these people already writing off this football club who went almost the whole season with barely any losses. A couple at Liverpool and one Aston Villa. Barely any. A couple of Man City defeats like everyone does. We smashed it last year. We were one of the best teams in the league. Worst places to go in St James's Park. So let's shut all them up. Start the season well. And I tell you what, I'm going to go for I think it's going to be difficult. Of course it is. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Newcastle win. I think we might concede because Aston Villa are going to be full of beans as well, but we'll have enough to get over the line. I want to see 3 points on the board tomorrow. I cannot wait to get inside St James's Park. I'm going to be so pumped for this. Football is back, Newcastle fans. Eddie Howe's mags are back, and let's see what these boys can do with Champions League at the helm as well. So much to be fucking excited about. The transfer window's not even closed yet. Let us know your predictions in the comments. Let us know your team selection. There's going to be a match vlog coming, so whack that like and subscribe if you've stuck around this long, and I'll see you on that match vlog from my fancy seats. Let's get inside St James's Park, Newcastle fans. Away the lads!